The ultimatum. The Vortexian warship emerged from the darkness beyond Mars, its obsidian hull absorbing light rather than reflecting it. Shaped like a massive spiral shell stretching nearly 2 kilometers from bow to stern, it dwarfed humanity's largest orbital stations. Earth's detection systems had given only 30 minutes warning before the vessel settled into a perfect geosynchronous orbit above the United Nations headquarters in New York. Commander Elena Reyes stood on the observation deck of the International Space Command Station, her dark eyes fixed on the alien vessel. As Earth's Space Defense Force commander, she had run thousands of first contact simulations. None had prepared her for this. "They're hailing us, Commander," Lieutenant Alvarez reported, his voice steady despite the tension evident in his rigid posture. Reyes smoothed her uniform. "Put them through." The holographic display flickered to life, revealing a being that defied immediate comprehension. Ambassador Xorix of the Vortexian Empire had a vaguely humanoid upper body that transitioned into a mass of writhing tentacles below. Its skin shimmered with bioluminescent patterns that seemed to correspond with its speech. 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern regarded Reyes with cold intelligence. "People of Earth," the translation system rendered its vibrating speech into English. "The Vortexian Empire acknowledges your species' achievement of faster-than-light communication. Your signal beacon was detected by our forward scouts. As is customary, we extend imperial protection to developing worlds such as yours." Reyes maintained her composure. "We appreciate your acknowledgement, Ambassador. Earth welcomes peaceful contact with. Your gratitude will be expressed through tribute." Xorix interrupted. "Resources, technology schematics, and human representatives will be collected within 3 lunar cycles. Our envoys will arrive to specify requirements and collection procedures." The bridge fell silent. Just 8 months earlier, humanity had celebrated sending its first FTL communication probe beyond the solar system. The achievement had apparently attracted unwanted attention. "I must consult with Earth's governing authorities regarding your request," Reyes replied carefully. "Consultation is permitted. Refusal is not." The ambassador's bioluminescent patterns pulsed brighter. "The Empire has incorporated 4,000 worlds into its protection network. All eventually recognize the benefits of our system." The transmission ended abruptly. Within hours, the United Nations Security Council convened an emergency session. Leaders from around the world gathered in the underground facility beneath Geneva, their faces grim as footage of the alien vessel played on displays throughout the chamber. Secretary General Okafor stood at the central table. "What exactly constitutes tribute in their view?" she asked when the recording finished. Dr. Aileen Choi, head of the newly formed Xenopolitical Analysis Division, stepped forward. "Based on our preliminary translations of their follow-up communications, they expect approximately 20% of our global mineral production, unrestricted access to our digital knowledge repositories, and," she hesitated, "50,000 humans annually for what they term cultural exchange and service opportunities." "Slaves," General Volkov of the Russian Federation said flatly. "They want slaves." "And if we refuse?" asked the Chinese premier. Dr. Choi displayed another translated message. The ambassador was explicit. "Resistance results in demonstration of imperial capacity, followed by adjusted tribute requirements." Previous resistant worlds apparently faced orbital bombardment until compliance was achieved. The room erupted in debate. Some advocated immediate military preparations, others suggested negotiation for better terms. Dr. Nikolai Chen, director of the Quantum Physics Institute, had remained silent until now. He rose slowly, his slight frame belying the gravity of his presence. "We have a third option," he said quietly. The room gradually fell silent. "One the Vortexians won't expect because it seems to be outside their cultural framework." "We're listening, Dr. Chen," Secretary General Okafor prompted. "We leave." Chen's words hung in the air. "Evacuate Earth." General Volkov scoffed. 8 billion people. Impossible. Not impossible, Chen countered. Merely unprecedented. He activated the room's holographic display, showing technical schematics. My team has been analyzing the Vortexian vessel's scanning technology. Their quantum detection systems are advanced, but follow predictable principles. We can develop countermeasures, essentially invisibility technology. The room fell silent as the implications became clear. You're suggesting we evacuate humanity while making the Vortexians think we're still here? President Rodriguez of the North American Alliance asked incredulously. Precisely. Chen nodded. We build stealth ships, evacuate our population to temporary colonies, and let them have an empty planet. Then, when we're ready, we fight back from positions they don't know exist. Evacuate billions in 3 months. Secretary General Okafor frowned. Even with unlimited resources, the logistics seem overwhelming, Chen acknowledged, but not impossible. The alternative is generational slavery or extinction. What followed was the most extraordinary 48 hours in human history. The Security Council expanded into an emergency global authority with unprecedented powers. National borders became administrative boundaries in a unified evacuation plan. Private aerospace corporations integrated with military space commands. Every factory capable of producing spacecraft components was commandeered. Dr. Chen's team worked without rest, reverse engineering Vortexian scanning systems from the data collected during the initial encounter. The breakthrough came on the 5th day when Dr. Chen's quantum camouflage prototype successfully rendered a test vessel invisible to sensors calibrated to Vortexian specifications. The principle is elegant, Chen explained to the emergency authority. Their quantum scanners detect matter through subatomic resonance patterns. Our countermeasure creates a field that cancels these patterns, essentially making objects non-existent from their perspective. Commander Reyes, now heading Earth's Unified Defense Forces, studied the prototype design. How quickly can we scale this to ship-size applications? With global manufacturing cooperation. 2 weeks for the first vessels. Chen displayed the production timeline. We can produce enough stealth fields for the entire evacuation fleet within 7 weeks. Meanwhile, the diplomatic team led by former UN Ambassador Lin Mai engaged in daily communications with the Vortexians, asking endless questions about tribute requirements. Each inquiry forced the aliens to consult their protocols, buying precious time. We wish to understand the acceptable mineral composition parameters, Lin asked during the 8th meeting, her expression a mask of earnest cooperation. Our scientists need precise specifications to ensure efficient extraction. While the diplomats stalled, humanity's greatest engineering project accelerated. Underground facilities expanded rapidly as mining operations went into overdrive, explained to Vortexian observers as preparation for mineral extraction. In orbit, construction of tribute processing stations provided cover for the assembly of stealth evacuation ships. The Vortexians observed Earth's industrial mobilization with approval, interpreting it as preparation for tribute collection. They remained unaware that each orbital platform contained hidden components designed to convert to escape vessels. 30 days after first contact, Dr. Chen presented the completed prototype of the quantum camouflage system to Commander Reyes. They stood in a secure laboratory deep beneath the Himalayas, watching as the device, no larger than a microwave oven, hummed softly. This will shield a vessel carrying up to 5,000 people, Chen explained, dark circles under his eyes betraying his exhaustion. The field renders the ship completely invisible to Vortexian sensors. And it works? Reyes asked, circling the unassuming device. In answer, Chen activated the system. The prototype disappeared completely, though they could still feel its presence when reaching out. We've already begun mass production, Chen said as he deactivated the field, making the device visible again. The first evacuation ships will be ready in 3 days. Reyes nodded grimly. Then Operation Phantom begins. Throughout the following weeks, families across Earth received evacuation orders disguised as tribute preparation assessments. The Rahman family in Jakarta stared at their notification, instructing them to report to Processing Center 47 in 3 days with only essential possessions. Amira Rahman held her 6-year-old daughter Lila close. "Will we ever come back?" she asked her husband Fareed as they packed their permitted belongings. "Someday," he promised, though uncertainty clouded his eyes. "When Earth is ours again." Across the planet, similar scenes played out as humanity prepared for an exodus unlike anything in its history. Not to fight, not to submit, but to vanish, becoming the ghosts that would one day haunt their would-be conquerors. As the first stealth evacuation ships prepared for departure, Commander Rice addressed the skeleton crew that would maintain Earth's deception. "You've volunteered for the most dangerous mission in human history," she told the assembled 50,000. "While billions escape, you will maintain the illusion of a compliant planet until the final moment. What you're doing will never be forgotten." The crew, comprised of military personnel, engineers, and specialists from every nation, had all volunteered knowing they would be the last to leave, if they left at all. Dr. Chen approached Reyes after the briefing, his face drawn with fatigue. "The final evacuation vessels are complete. We can move the remaining population within the deadline." Reyes studied the scientist who had given humanity its only hope. "Your family, already evacuated to Colony Site Epsilon," Chen replied. "My daughters send messages asking when I'll join them." He smiled faintly. "Soon, I hope." Above them, Earth's night sky twinkled with the lights of orbital stations, where millions already waited in stealth-shielded habitats. Beyond, the first colonial vessels had begun their journeys to distant star systems, carrying the seeds of humanity's future. While on Earth's surface, automated systems maintained the illusion of normal planetary activity through programmed patterns and holographic projections. Cities appeared occupied, power grids functioned at typical capacity, and communication networks buzzed with simulated messages. The greatest deception in human history was working. The Vortexian Empire expected either submission or feudal resistance. They would find neither, only the echo of a civilization that refused to be enslaved and chose instead to become ghosts among the stars. The vanishing. Dawn broke over Lake Michigan as Angela Chen watched her parents pack the family's single authorized duffel bag. At 12 years old, she understood more than her parents realized about Operation Phantom. Her father's position as the architect of Earth's stealth technology meant she'd overheard enough to grasp the stakes. "Remember what we practiced," her mother said softly, checking Angela's evacuation tag. "Stay quiet during transport. No questions until we reach the safety zone." Angela nodded, clutching her tablet containing family photos and her digital library. Civilization's knowledge compressed into devices carried by millions of children. Adults carried expertise instead of things. Doctors had medical data, engineers had technical plans, teachers had educational materials. Humanity brought what it needed to rebuild. Outside, transport vehicles with darkened windows moved through Chicago's streets. Neighborhood evacuation coordinators checked names against tablets, directing people to their assigned vehicles. The Chen family joined 40 others in a transport marked with a manufacturing company logo. Its documentation identified them as tribute preparation specialists, a designation the Vortexian observers had approved without understanding its true purpose. The vehicle drove to what appeared to be an industrial complex. Inside the largest building, the floor descended, revealing a massive underground launch facility. 3 cylindrical vessels waited, each capable of carrying 2,000 people to orbit under the protection of Dr. Chen's quantum camouflage system. "Is that your father's invention?" a boy whispered beside Angela, pointing to the shimmer of energy surrounding the nearest ship. "One of them," she answered quietly, a flicker of pride amid her anxiety. Similar scenes played out in cities worldwide as humanity executed the greatest migration in its history. Evacuation proceeded in carefully scheduled waves, maintaining the appearance of normal planetary activity through automated systems and the skeleton crew of volunteers. Commander Rice studied the global evacuation map from the Emergency Command Center beneath Geneva. Green indicators showed completed zones, with only a few yellow areas remaining. The final evacuation ships preparing for departure. Evacuation status, she asked Director Hassan, who supervised the operation. 93% complete, he reported, fatigue evident in his voice. Remaining ships launch when the Vortexian collection fleet approaches. The automated systems are functioning at planned levels. Ray zoomed in on a satellite view of Tokyo. From orbit, the city appeared normal. Lights in buildings, trains moving along tracks. But no humans walked the streets, only occasional drones maintaining the illusion. Her communication officer approached urgently. Commander, Vortexian fleet detected at the edge of the solar system. Estimated arrival in 72 hours. Accelerate final evacuations, Rai ordered, and notify Ambassador Lin. It's time for the final diplomatic performance. On the Vortexian command vessel, Ambassador Xorix received Earth's diplomatic delegation with growing impatience. 3 months of detailed questions about tribute requirements had tested even imperial protocols. Our final inquiry concerns the logistics of human representative transfer, Ambassador Lin stated formally. Given the sensitivity of biological transport, we've prepared specialized containment facilities at these coordinates. She transferred a data packet showing 20 major cities where collection centers had been established. In reality, these locations house the most sophisticated holograms and automated response systems designed to interact briefly with Vortexian collection teams before technical malfunctions would obscure the absence of actual humans. Your preparation exceeds expectations, Xorix acknowledged, luminescent patterns rippling across its skin. The collection fleet will arrive within 3 rotations of your planet. Tribute processing will begin immediately. We look forward to formalizing our relationship with the Empire, Lin replied, maintaining the deception until the very end. As the delegation returned to Earth, they boarded their own evacuation vessel, one of the last to depart. Ambassador Lin looked back at the Vortexian ship through the viewport as their stealth systems engage. "Do you think they suspect?" asked her aide. "Their cultural database shows no precedent for planetary evacuation," Lin replied. "The concept is beyond their strategic thinking. In orbit above Mars, temporary habitats shielded by quantum camouflage house millions awaiting transport to distant colonies." Dr. Chen monitored the stealth field from the central control station. "Any indication the Vortexians can detect us?" he asked the monitoring team. "None," the lead technician confirmed. "Their communications remain focused on tribute collection procedures. No security alerts detected." Chen allowed himself a small smile. His technology had performed beyond expectations. The greatest migration in human history had occurred right under alien sensors. On evacuation vessel horizon, Angela Chen pressed her face against the viewing port as Earth became a small blue marble in the distance. "Will we ever go back?" she asked her father. Dr. Chen placed a hand on her shoulder. "Someday, when we're ready." The last civilian evacuation ships broke orbit, their stealth systems masking their departure. Behind them, Earth waited, a hollow shell about to spring history's greatest surprise. Fleet Admiral Zoltherax stood on the command deck of the Imperial Dominance, his flagship that stretched nearly 3 kilometers from bow to stern. The massive collection fleet behind him contained 200 vessels, each designed to extract specific resources from Earth. "Visual of the target world," his sensor officer announced. The main screen displayed Earth, blue and cloud-streaked. Sensor data indicated normal power signatures, communication networks, and transportation systems. "The humans have been surprisingly compliant," Zoltherax remarked to his second-in-command. "Usually, new tribute worlds require at least a small demonstration of force." Ambassador Xorix reports they requested extensive information about tribute requirements. Sub-Admiral Kree replied. "They appear eager to meet expectations." "Efficient," Zoltherax noted with approval. "Perhaps this integration will proceed smoothly for once." The collection fleet moved into position, spreading across Earth's orbit. each vessel aligned with its designated collection zone. Collection ships report reaching coordinates. Kree reported, "They await your command." Zoltharax performed the traditional gesture of acquisition, raising his upper limbs toward the view screen. "Proceed." Throughout the fleet, collection vessels began their descent through Earth's atmosphere, targeting major cities and resource-rich regions across every continent. The largest ships, each capable of holding 50,000 humans, descended toward population centers. On the ground, Commander Reyes and her skeleton crew watched the alien ships descend from their hidden command center. The last evacuation vessel waited nearby, engines warm. Collection ships entering lower atmosphere. A technician reported, "Maintain automated systems at full operation." Reyes ordered, "No direct communication unless absolutely necessary." The first Vortexian vessel landed in what had once been Central Park. Its massive hull crushed trees as loading ramps extended onto the grass. Robotic collection units deployed, moving toward the surrounding buildings. Inside those buildings, sophisticated holographic projectors created fleeting images of human movement. Heat signatures simulated occupied spaces. Automated voice systems responded to Vortexian communications. Tribute collection point established. The Vortexian commander reported, "Beginning preliminary sweep." Similar scenes play out globally. In Beijing, Rio de Janeiro, Cairo, and dozens of other cities, collection ships landed and deployed their forces. They found functioning infrastructure, powered systems, moving vehicles, everything indicating a living city except humans. On the Imperial Dominance, Fleet Admiral Zoltharax received the first puzzling reports. "Admiral, Collection Team 7 reports anomalies in Cairo." Sub-Admiral Kree said, confusion evident in his voice. "They detect electronic systems, but no biological signatures." "Equipment malfunction." Zoltharax dismissed. "Order recalibration." But within minutes, similar reports arrived from collection teams worldwide. The pattern became impossible to ignore. "Admiral, something is wrong," Kree reported, his posture displaying increasing alarm. "We're receiving automated responses from Earth's systems, but landing teams report all collection points are empty of biological life." Zoltharax's bioluminescent patterns flashed with agitation. "Impossible. Scan for subsurface structures. They must be hiding." The sensor operators complied, sending deep scanning pulses through Earth's crust. The results showed many underground facilities, all empty. "Check orbital space," Zoltharax ordered. "Every satellite, station, everything." The sensors swept outward, finding Earth's space stations and satellites, all functional, all automated, all empty. "Admiral," Kree said quietly, "we're detecting no human life signs on the planet or in orbit." Confusion turned to rage as Zoltharax realized the deception. He smashed a control panel with one tentacle. "Impossible," he roared. "A pre-FTL civilization cannot simply disappear." He activated the fleet-wide communication system. "All vessels, expand scan parameters. Search the entire solar system. Find the humans." The fleet redirected resources to scanning operations. Ships broke orbit to investigate other planets and moons in the system. Hours passed with the same result. Automated systems running on Mars and lunar stations, operating normally but empty of biological life. "Admiral," Kree reported after a full day of searching, "we found something." Zoltharax moved to the command station. "Show me." Propulsion signatures leaving the solar system. Hundreds, possibly thousands, but they're unusual. Our sensors barely detected them. Zoltharax studied the readings. The human vessels had used stealth technology that masked them from Imperial sensors. Most disturbing, the technology appeared based on Vortexian principles. "When did these departures occur?" he demanded. Kree checked the data. "Based on trajectory analysis, over the past 10 weeks, since first contact." While Ambassador Xorix was answering endless questions about tribute requirements, the humans had been leaving. An entire planet had evacuated right under Imperial sensors. "Find them," Zoltherax ordered. "Launch pursuit vessels immediately." "Admiral," Kree replied hesitantly, "the signature trails dissipate completely beyond the solar system boundary. We cannot determine their destinations." Zoltherax stood in stunned silence. In 3 centuries of service, he had never encountered such a situation. Imperial protocols had no procedure for a species that abandoned their homeworld rather than submit to tribute. They took everything of value, a resource officer reported. Data centers erased, research facilities emptied, even infrastructure components removed. They left nothing but shells. In his fury, Zoltherax ordered planetary bombardment, but found little satisfaction in destroying empty cities and automated decoys. The weapons fire simply eliminated the elaborate stage setting the humans had created. In the hidden command center beneath Geneva, Commander Reyes and her team watched the bombardment on their monitors. When the Vortexian fleet finally withdrew from Earth orbit, she activated the emergency broadcast system. A pre-recorded message began transmitting on all frequencies, directed at the departing Imperial fleet. The message was simple, encoded in the Vortexian language their linguists had deciphered. "We chose to become ghosts rather than slaves. Remember this when humanity returns." As the last human evacuation ship broke orbit, its quantum camouflage rendering it invisible to the retreating Vortexians, Earth fell silent. The cradle of human civilization became a monument to ingenuity and defiance, a hollow world that had chosen emptiness over subjugation. In the vast darkness between stars, thousands of vessels carried humanity to new homes. Within them, people like Angela Chen pressed against viewports, watching the stars streak by as they fled into the unknown. "What happens now?" Angela asked her father as Earth vanished from view. Dr. Chen looked at his daughter, seeing in her eyes the future he had fought to preserve. "Now we rebuild. We learn. We grow stronger." His expression hardened with determination. "And one day we return, not as tribute, but as equals." Aboard each vessel, humanity carried not just the knowledge and skills to build new worlds, but something the Vortexian Empire had never anticipated. A warning for any power that threatened their freedom. Earth had fallen silent, but humanity's voice would one day echo again among the stars, not in submission, but in triumph. The oxygen theft. The first signs of trouble came on a Tuesday. Dr. Samantha Chen, lead atmospheric scientist at NOAA, stared at her computer screen in disbelief. The oxygen levels in Earth's atmosphere had dropped by 0.5% overnight. She ran the numbers again, checked her equipment, and even called her colleagues in other monitoring stations around the globe. The results were always the same. Earth was losing oxygen at an alarming rate. Within hours, the scientific community was abuzz with theories and speculation. Natural phenomena were ruled out one by one. It wasn't until Wednesday evening that the truth became horrifyingly clear. They came without warning. Massive ships, dark as the void of space, appeared in low Earth orbit. Their hulls seemed to shimmer and bend light around them, making them difficult to focus on with the naked eye. But their presence was undeniable, as was their purpose. Long, snaking tendrils of energy reached down from the ships, piercing the atmosphere. Where they touched, the air itself seemed to vanish, sucked up into the alien vessels like water through a straw. Panic spread across the globe as people began to feel the effects of the rapidly thinning air. In Washington, D.C., President Adama Okafor stood before a hastily assembled group of military leaders, scientists, and cabinet members. Her usually calm demeanor was strained, dark circles under her eyes betraying sleepless nights. "Ladies and gentlemen," she began, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation, "we are facing an unprecedented threat to our very existence. These alien beings, whoever they are stealing the very air we breathe. Our best estimates suggest that at the current rate, Earth's atmosphere will be unbreathable within 2 weeks." A murmur of shock rippled through the room. General Marcus Stone, A grizzled veteran with more combat experience than anyone else present spoke up. "Madam President, what are our options for retaliation? We can't just sit here and let them suffocate us." President Okafor's eyes hardened. "We've attempted communication. They've ignored all our hails. We've fired warning shots. They didn't even flinch. Our most powerful weapons barely scratched their hulls. We need a new approach, and we need it fast." As if on cue, Dr. Samantha Chen burst into the room, her lab coat askew and a wild look in her eyes. "Madam President, I think I know what they're doing with our oxygen." All eyes turned to the disheveled scientist. President Okafor nodded for her to continue. Dr. Chen took a deep breath, trying to calm herself. "We've been analyzing the energy signatures from their extraction beams. The oxygen isn't being destroyed. It's being compressed and stored. They're harvesting our atmosphere." General Stone's fist slammed onto the table. "Those bastards. They're going to strip our planet bare and leave us to die." "Not if we can help it," a new voice chimed in. All heads turned to see Dr. Rajiv Patel, the reclusive head of a top-secret research division, step out of the shadows. "Madam President, I believe it's time we unveiled Project Dreadnought." President Okafor's eyes widened in recognition. "Are you certain it's ready, Dr. Patel? We've only run simulations." Dr. Patel nodded grimly. "It's our only chance. The dreadnoughts are our best shot at taking the fight to them." As confused glances were exchanged around the room, President Okafor stood. "Ladies and gentlemen, what I'm about to share with you is classified at the highest level. For the past decade, we've been reverse engineering technology from a crashed alien ship. We've managed to build a small fleet of advanced warships, the dreadnoughts. They're faster, more powerful, and more advanced than anything humanity has ever created." A holographic display flickered to life in the center of the room, showing sleek, predatory-looking vessels bristling with weaponry. General Stone let out a low whistle of appreciation. "These ships," Dr. Patel continued, "are capable of faster-than-light travel. They're armed with energy weapons derived from alien tech, and their hulls are reinforced with a material that can withstand the pressures of deep space and the heat of atmospheric entry." President Okafor's voice cut through the awed silence. "This is no longer just about defending Earth. We need to take the fight to them, find out why they're stealing our oxygen, and put a stop to it. We need to assemble crews for these ships immediately." General Stone straightened, a fire in his eyes. "I volunteer to lead the mission, Madam President. These alien bastards won't know what hit them." "Approved." President Okafor nodded. "Dr. Chen, Dr. Patel, I want you both on this mission as well. We need our best minds out there." As the room erupted into a flurry of activity, plans being made and orders given, a young lieutenant burst in. "Madam President, we're receiving a transmission from the alien ships." The room fell silent as a large screen flickered to life. The being that appeared was unlike anything they had ever seen. Its body seemed to be composed of swirling gases, constantly shifting and reforming. When it spoke, its voice resonated not through the air, but directly in their minds. "Humans of Earth," the alien began, its mental voice cold and dispassionate. "We are the Aetheri. Your planet's oxygen-rich atmosphere is a rare and valuable resource in this sector of the galaxy. We have claimed it for ourselves. You have 2 solar cycles to evacuate your population to your moon or face extinction. Resistance is futile. Your weapons cannot harm us. Your pleas fall on deaf ears. This is not a negotiation. This is your fate." The transmission cut off abruptly, leaving the room in stunned silence. President Okafor was the first to recover, her voice filled with steel determination. "Well then, it seems the Aetheri have made their intentions clear. General Stone, Dr. Patel, Dr. Chen, you have your mission. Assemble your crews, prepare the dreadnoughts. You leave as soon as possible." As the room burst into frantic activity once more, Dr. Chen caught Dr. Patel's eye. "Do you really think we can do this?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Go up against a species capable of stealing our atmosphere?" Dr. Patel's lips curled into a grim smile. "Dr. Chen, if there's one thing I've learned in all my years of studying alien technology, it's this. Never underestimate human ingenuity when our backs are against the wall. The Aetheri may think they've got us beat, but they're about to learn a harsh lesson about humanity." Outside, the sky darkened as more Aetheri ships arrived, their energy tendrils reaching down to continue their relentless harvesting of Earth's atmosphere. But deep beneath the surface, in hidden bunkers and secret facilities, humanity was mobilizing. The dreadnoughts were being prepped, their crews assembled from the best and brightest Earth had to offer. As General Stone strode towards the hangar where his ship awaited, he muttered under his breath, "All right, you gasbag aliens. You want a war? We'll give you a war. Humanity isn't going down without a fight." The stage was set. Earth's last, best hope, a fleet of advanced warships crewed by the planet's finest, was about to launch into the unknown. The battle for humanity's survival was about to begin, and the Aetheri were about to learn that sometimes the cornered prey becomes the most dangerous predator of all. Project Dreadnought. The cavernous underground hangar hummed with activity. Nestled deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, this secret facility had been the birthplace of humanity's most advanced weapon system, the Dreadnoughts. As General Marcus Stone strode across the polished floor, his footsteps echoing in the vast space, he couldn't help but feel a surge of pride mixed with trepidation. Before him stood 5 sleek warships, each easily the size of a naval destroyer, but with lines that spoke of speed and agility beyond anything Earth's militaries had ever fielded. Their hulls gleamed with a strange, almost fluid sheen, the result of the reverse-engineered alien alloy that made them nearly indestructible. "Beautiful, aren't they?" Dr. Rajiv Patel's voice startled Stone out of his reverie. The scientist had appeared at his side, eyes gleaming with the pride of a creator beholding his masterpiece. Stone nodded curtly. "They'd better be more than just pretty, Patel. The fate of our entire species is riding on these ships." "Oh, they're far more than just aesthetically pleasing, General," Patel replied with a hint of amusement. "Each dreadnought is equipped with a gravitic drive capable of FTL travel, shields that can withstand the direct impact of a nuclear warhead, and weapon systems that, well, let's just say the Aetheri are in for a nasty surprise." As they walked towards the nearest ship, christened the UES Defiant, Dr. Samantha Chen joined them, her arms full of tablets and data drives. "I've been analyzing the atmospheric data from the Aetheri ships," she said without preamble. "Their extraction method is incredibly efficient, but it's not perfect. There's a distinct energy signature we might be able to use to our advantage." Stone raised an eyebrow. "How so, Doctor?" Chen's eyes lit up with the excitement of scientific discovery. "If we can replicate and reverse the signature, we might be able to create a device that disrupts their harvesting technology. It won't stop them completely, but it could buy us precious time." "Time we desperately need," Stone agreed. "How long to develop this device?" Chen's excitement dimmed slightly. "That's the problem. With Earth's resources, it would take months. But if we can get close enough to one of their ships to gather more data, then we might be able to fast-track the process," Patel finished for her. "It's risky, but it might be our best shot." Stone nodded grimly. "Add it to the mission parameters. Now, let's meet our crew." The trio made their way to a briefing room adjacent to the hangar. As they entered, a diverse group of individuals snapped to attention. Stone surveyed them with a critical eye. These were the best of the best, drawn from militaries and scientific institutions around the world. "At ease," Stone commanded. "You've all been briefed on the situation. Earth is under attack, and we are its last line of defense. Each of you has been chosen for your unique skills and expertise. Together, we will crew the dreadnoughts and take the fight to the Aetheri." He gestured to a tall, athletic woman with close-cropped hair. "Major Zara Kashif, former RAF pilot and our lead tactician. You'll be captaining the UES Intrepid. Kashif nodded sharply, her eyes burning with determination. Stone continued down the line. Commander Jin Lee, cybersecurity expert, and our resident hacker. Your job will be to find weaknesses in the Atheres systems and exploit them. A slight, unassuming man with wire-rimmed glasses gave a small wave. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, cynobiologist. Your expertise might give us insights into the Atheres physiology and potential weaknesses. A woman with warm brown skin and curly hair smiled confidently. And finally, Captain Akira Tanaka, weapons specialist. You'll be in charge of making sure our new toys pack the punch we need. A stocky man with a scar running down one cheek grinned fiercely. Stone took a deep breath. Make no mistake, people. This mission is unlike anything humanity has ever attempted. We're venturing into unknown territory, facing an enemy with technology far beyond our own. But we have two advantages: surprise and the simple fact that we're fighting for our very existence. The Aetheri think they can just sweep us aside and take our planet. We're going to show them just how wrong they are. Dr. Paddle stepped forward. Now let me brief you on the capabilities of the dreadnoughts. Each ship is equipped with. As Paddle launched into a detailed explanation of the ship's systems, Chen leaned in close to Stone. Do you really think we can pull this off? She whispered. Stone's jaw clenched. We have to, Doctor. We're out of options and out of time. The briefing continued, covering everything from the ship's advanced propulsion systems to their weaponry, from life support to communication arrays. As the crew asked questions and familiarized themselves with their new commands, a palpable sense of excitement began to build. Despite the dire circumstances, there was an undercurrent of awe at the technology they would be wielding and the historic nature of their mission. Finally, Stone called for attention. We launch in 6 hours. Get familiar with your ships. Run every system check you can think of. Once we break atmosphere, there's no turning back. Dismissed. As the crew filed out, Stone found himself alone with Patel and Chen. The scientist and the general exchanged a long look. There's something you haven't told the crew, isn't there? Chen asked, her keen eyes moving between the two men. Patel sighed heavily. The dreadnoughts. They're not as tested as we led them to believe. We've run simulations, yes, but we've never actually taken them into space. There are unknowns. Chen's eyes widened. But the risks are necessary, Stone cut in firmly. We don't have the luxury of extended trials and safety tests. It's do or die time. A tense silence fell over the room. Finally, Chen squared her shoulders. Well then, gentlemen, I suggest we get to work. We have a planet to save, and not much time to do it. As they left the briefing room, alarms began to blare throughout the facility. A voice crackled over the intercom. Alert. Aetheri ships detected on approach to Rocky Mountain region. Estimated time to arrival: 30 minutes. Stone broke into a run. Patel and Chen hot on his heels. Looks like our timetable just got a hell of a lot shorter, he growled. All hands, prepare for immediate launch. This is not a drill. The hangar erupted into controlled chaos as crew members scrambled to their positions. Stone sprinted up the ramp into the UES Defiant, making straight for the bridge. As he strapped himself into the command chair, he could feel the ship humming to life around him. All systems online, reported the ship's AI, its voice cool and collected. Gravitic drive at full power. Weapons systems armed and ready. Awaiting your command, General. Stone took a deep breath, his hands gripping the armrests of his chair. This was it. Humanity's desperate gamble was about to begin. Open the bay doors, he ordered, his voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through his veins. Dreadnought fleet, prepare for launch. May God have mercy on our souls, because the Aetheri sure as hell won't. With a great rumbling, the mountain above them began to split open, revealing a star-studded sky. The dreadnoughts rose as one, their sleek forms gleaming in the moonlight. As they burst from their underground lair, they were greeted by a terrifying sight. 3 massive Aetheri ships descending through the atmosphere, their energy tendrils already reaching for the Earth below. All ships, battle formations. Stone barked. Let's show these bastards what happens when you mess with humanity. The dreadnoughts surged forward, engines flaring bright against the night sky. The battle for Earth's survival had begun, and the Aetheri were about to learn that their supposed easy conquest had just become a fight for their own existence. Journey to the stars. The night sky above the Rocky Mountains erupted into chaos as the 5 dreadnoughts rocketed towards the descending Aetheri ships. General Stone's voice crackled over the comms, steady and determined. Remember your training, people. We may be outnumbered, but we got the element of surprise. Hit them hard and fast. From the bridge of the UES Defiant, Stone watched as the distance between human and alien vessels rapidly closed. The Aetheri ships loomed larger by the second, their ethereal forms shimmering against the backdrop of stars. Weapons hot. Captain Akira Tanaka's voice rang out. Targeting systems locked on the lead Aetheri vessel. Stone's jaw clenched. Fire at will. Streams of blindingly bright energy lanced out from the dreadnoughts, carving glowing trails across the sky. The attack struck the lead Aetheri ship, and for a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, with a silent flash, a section of the alien vessel's hull simply vanished, leaving a gaping wound. A cheer went up across the human fleet, but it was short-lived. The Aetheri response was swift and merciless. Tendrils of crackling energy whipped out, slashing through the air towards the dreadnoughts. Evasive maneuvers, Stone roared. The human ships scattered, their advanced propulsion systems allowing them to dance away from the deadly beams with incredible agility. But they couldn't dodge everything. The UES Intrepid took a glancing blow, its shields flaring bright blue under the assault. Intrepid, report. Stone demanded. Major Zarakeshev's voice came back, tense but controlled. Shields holding at 82%, sir. That was too close for comfort. As the battle raged on, Dr. Samantha Chen worked feverishly at her console aboard the Defiant. General, she called out, I'm picking up massive energy fluctuations from the Aetheri ships. I think they're preparing to jump to FTL. Stone's eyes widened. They're running. Already? No, sir, Chen replied grimly. I think they're calling for reinforcements. The implications hit Stone like a physical blow. If more Aetheri ships arrived, Earth wouldn't stand a chance. They had to act now. All ships, prepare for FTL jump, he ordered. We're following them in. But sir, Commander Jin Lee protested, we've never tested the FTL drives in actual space conditions. No time like the present, Commander, Stone growled. Dr. Patel, give us a crash course. Dr. Raja Patel's voice came over the comms, rapid fire and intense. The gravitic drive creates a bubble of warped space-time around the ship. When activated, it will propel us faster than light. You'll feel a moment of disorientation, but the ship's systems should compensate. Whatever you do, do not disengage the drive mid-jump. As he spoke, the Aetheri ships began to elongate, stretching impossibly before vanishing in a flash of light. They've jumped, Chen reported. I've got their vector. Stone took a deep breath. All ships, sync your nav computers to the Defiant. Prepare for FTL jump on my mark. He paused, acutely aware that he was about to take humanity further than it had ever gone before. 3, 2, 1, mark. The universe seemed to stretch around them. Stone felt a moment of vertigo so intense he thought he might black out. Then, with a lurch that seemed to reverberate through his very atoms, the dreadnoughts shot forward. The stars became streaks of light, then merged into a swirling tunnel of blue-white energy. Stone's stomach churned, and he gritted his teeth against the sensation. Around him, he could hear gasps and groans from the crew as they experienced FTL travel for the first time. Seconds stretched into minutes, each moment feeling like an eternity. Just when Stone thought he couldn't take it anymore, reality snapped back into focus. The starfield reappeared, but the constellations were completely unfamiliar. Status report. Stone barked, fighting down a wave of nausea. All ships accounted for, Lee reported, his voice shaky. Minor systems fluctuations, but nothing critical. Where are we? Stone demanded. Chen's fingers flew over her console. According to our stellar cartography, we're in the Epsilon Eridani system, over 10 light-years from Earth. A stunned silence fell over the bridge. They had just traveled a distance that would have taken conventional spacecraft thousands of years to cross. The moment of awe was shattered by Tanaka's urgent call. Contacts. Multiple Aether signatures detected. Stone snapped back to alertness. Battle stations. All ships. Form up on the Defiant. Let's show these gas bags they can't run from us. As the dreadnoughts moved into formation, a massive structure came into view. It was a space station unlike anything they had ever seen. A swirling vortex of gases and energy, contained within a framework of gleaming metal. Surrounding it were dozens of Aether ships, including the 3 they had chased from Earth. My God, Dr. Elena Rodriguez breathed. It's like a giant lung. I think this is where they're processing the oxygen they're stealing. Stone's mind raced. If they could destroy this station, it might cripple the Aether's entire operation. But the odds were overwhelming. 5 human ships against an entire alien armada. As if sensing their presence, the Aether fleet began to move. Ships peeled away from the station, forming attack patterns. They'd spotted us, Kashif reported. Incoming hostiles. Stone squared his shoulders. This was it, the moment that would decide the fate of humanity. All ships, battle formations. Remember, we're not just fighting for ourselves. We're fighting for everyone back on Earth. For every man, woman, and child struggling to breathe. We are humanity's last hope, and we will not fail. The crew cheered, their earlier fear replaced by steely determination. As the Aether ships closed in, the dreadnoughts unleashed a barrage of weapons fire. The battle for Earth's future had moved to the stars, and humanity was about to show the galaxy that it would not go quietly into the night. Energy beams crisscrossed the void, lighting up the darkness of space. The dreadnoughts weaved and dodged, their advanced maneuverability allowing them to dance between the Aether attacks. But they were vastly outnumbered, and for every alien ship they managed to damage or destroy, 2 more seemed to take its place. Shields down to 60%. Lee called out as the Defiant shuddered under another hit. Reroute power from non-essential systems, Stone ordered. We need to hold out. As the battle raged on, Chen worked furiously at her station. General, I think I've found something. The station. It's generating some kind of energy field. If we can disrupt it, we might be able to destabilize their entire operation. Stone's eyes narrowed. It was a slim chance, but it was all they had. Tanaka, focus fire on the coordinates Dr. Chen is sending you. All ships, concentrate your attacks on that point. The dreadnoughts regrouped, forming a spearhead formation with the Defiant at its tip. They charged towards the station, weathering a storm of Aether fire. Now, Stone roared. 5 beams of concentrated energy lanced out, converging on a single point on the station's swirling surface. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, with a silent flash that seemed to ripple through space itself, the station's energy field collapsed. The effect was immediate and catastrophic. The carefully contained vortex of gases began to break apart, tendrils of oxygen and other atmospheric components spilling out into space. Aether ships closest to the station were caught in the sudden expulsion, tossed about like leaves in a hurricane. It's working, Chen exclaimed. The station is breaking down. But their victory was short-lived. As the station continued to disintegrate, a new threat emerged. The swirling mass of gases began to coalesce, forming into a shape that dwarfed even the massive station. What the hell is that? Stone demanded. Rodriguez's voice was filled with awe and terror. I think it's an ethery, a real one, not just a ship. We're seeing their true form. The colossal being of swirling gases turned what could only be described as its attention towards the human fleet. When it spoke, it wasn't with words, but with pulses of energy that resonated through the hulls of the dreadnoughts and the minds of their crews. Humans, the entity boomed, its voice filled with a mixture of anger and curiosity. UAKVD Istoroidi our harvesting station. UAKV Ishishowon. Unexpected TAB abilities. Stone steeled himself. This was first contact with an alien intelligence on a scale they had never imagined. We've shown you that we're not helpless victims, he responded, hoping the entity could understand him. We will fight to protect our world and our people. There was a pause, as if the massive being was considering his words. Then, to everyone's shock, it began to laugh. A sound like thunder rolling through a gas giant. Intriguing, it rumbled. Perhaps we have utnandi or istimedati your species. There may be possibilities we have de nanoticio inside the yard. As the humans watched in stunned silence, the ethery ships began to retreat, forming a protective circle around the giant entity. We will be Forna, the being declared. But no dis, humans, UAVCABUGH, our ATTNT1. We will be teaching your develop me into with great enthusiast. With that, the ethery fleet, along with the colossal gas being, seemed to fold in on themselves, vanishing in a burst of light that left afterimages dancing in the human's vision. Silence fell over the dreadnought fleet. They had done it. They had driven off the invaders and saved Earth. But at what cost? And what would this new attention from the ethery mean for humanity's future? As Stone gazed out at the unfamiliar stars, he knew that this was not the end, but only the beginning. Humanity had taken its first real steps into a larger, more complex galaxy. The journey ahead would be fraught with dangers, but also filled with incredible possibilities. All ships, he said softly, set a course for home. It's time we told Earth that the stars are no longer beyond our reach. As the dreadnoughts engaged their FTL drives, leaving the ruins of the ethery station behind, Stone couldn't help but feel a mix of pride, fear, and excitement. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge and emerged victorious. Whatever the future held, they would face it together, as a species united by their shared adventure among the stars. Battle for survival. The journey back to Earth was tense, filled with a mixture of triumph and trepidation. As the dreadnoughts hurtled through the swirling vortex of FTL space, General Stone couldn't shake the feeling that their victory might be short-lived. The ethery had withdrawn, yes, but for how long? And what would their newfound interest in humanity mean for Earth's future? As they dropped out of FTL on the outskirts of the solar system, a chorus of gasps echoed through the Defiance Bridge. The scene before them was one of chaos and destruction. Debris from Earth's defensive satellites and the remnants of conventional military vessels floated in a deadly dance around the planet. And there, hovering in low Earth orbit, were 5 massive ethery ships, their energy tendrils still siphoning away the planet's precious atmosphere. Damn it! Stone slammed his fist on the arm of his chair. They must have left a rear guard. Status report. Dr. Chen's fingers flew over her console. Earth's atmospheric oxygen levels are down to 15%, sir. If we don't stop them soon, the planet will become uninhabitable. Stone's jaw clenched. They had come so far, achieved so much, only to find their home on the brink of destruction. But he'd be damned if he'd let it end here. All ships, battle formations, he ordered, his voice steady despite the turmoil in his gut. We've faced worse odds and come out on top. We can do it again. As the dreadnoughts moved into attack position, The Aetheri ships finally seemed to notice their presence. The alien vessels began to disengage from their harvesting operation, turning to face the human fleet. "They're powering up weapons," Tanaka reported, his voice tense. Stone nodded grimly. "Evasive maneuvers. Hit them with everything we've got." The space around Earth erupted into a dazzling light show as human and alien weapons fire crisscrossed the void. The dreadnoughts danced between the massive energy beams of the Aetheri, their smaller size and greater maneuverability proving to be a significant advantage. But the Aetheri were far from helpless. A sizzling tendril of energy lashed out, catching the UES Intrepid across its port side. The ship's shields flared brilliantly before failing, and a section of its hull was vaporized instantly. "Intrepid, report." Stone barked into the comms. Major Keshiv's voice came back, strained but determined. "We're hurt bad, sir, but still in the fight. Rerouting power to weapons. These bastards won't take us down easy." As the battle raged on, Dr. Patel's voice suddenly cut through the chaos. "General, I think I've found a way to turn their own technology against them." Stone ducked instinctively as a stray energy beam sizzled past the Defiance bridge. "I'm all ears, Doctor. Make it quick." "The Aetheri ships," Patel explained rapidly. "They're using a form of quantum entanglement to stabilize their energy beams. If we can disrupt that entanglement, we might be able to cause a catastrophic feedback loop in their systems." It was a chance, a slim one, but at this point, Stone was willing to take any advantage they could get. "What do you need?" "We need to get close," Patel said. "Really close. And we'll need to modify our shields to emit a specific quantum frequency. It's risky. We'll be vulnerable while we make the adjustments." Stone didn't hesitate. "Do it. Kashif, Lee, Rodriguez, keep those Aetheri bastards busy. Tanaka, you're with me. We're going to give them a taste of their own medicine." The next few minutes were a blur of frantic activity, as the other dreadnoughts engaged in a deadly dance with the Aetheri ships, drawing their fire and attention. The Defiant hung back. Patel and his team worked feverishly to reconfigure the ship's systems, while Stone and Tanaka plotted their attack run. "Modifications complete," Patel finally announced. "But sir, I must warn you, this is completely untested. The feedback could just as easily destroy us as them." Stone's grip tightened on the arms of his chair. "Noted, Doctor. But we're out of options and out of time. Tanaka, plot us a course right down the throat of their biggest ship. All power to engines and shields." The Defiant surged forward, streaking past its embattled sister ships and making straight for the lead Aetheri vessel. Energy beams lashed out, seeking to swat the human ship from the sky, but Tanaka's piloting was impeccable. They dodged and weaved, closing the distance rapidly. "Brace for impact." Stone roared as they crossed the final threshold. The Defiant plunged into the swirling energy field surrounding the Aetheri ship. For a moment, it felt like the very fabric of reality was tearing apart around them. Alarms blared, systems overloaded, and the ship groaned as if it were about to shake itself to pieces. And then, suddenly, silence. Stone opened eyes he hadn't realized he'd closed, blinking in confusion at the sight before him. The Aetheri ship was dissolving. Its once solid form was breaking apart into wisps of gas and energy, dissipating into the void of space. "It worked," Patel breathed, his voice filled with awe. "The quantum disruption, it's unraveling their entire structure." As they watched, the effect spread to the other Aetheri ships. One by one, they began to lose cohesion, their massive forms breaking apart and scattering to the solar winds. A cheer went up across the human fleet as the last Aetheri ship dissolved into nothingness. They had done it. Against all odds, they had saved Earth. But their celebration was short-lived. As the adrenaline of battle faded, the true cost of their victory became clear. The Intrepid was badly damaged, barely holding together. The other dreadnoughts all showed signs of the fierce battle they'd just endured. And Earth itself, while saved from immediate destruction, had suffered greatly. As they began descent into Earth's atmosphere, the devastation became even more apparent. Entire cities lay dark, their power grids fried by the Aethery's energy weapons. Vast swaths of forest had withered and died in the oxygen-depleted air. It would take years, perhaps decades, for the planet to fully recover. The dreadnoughts touched down outside what remained of New York City, their landing witnessed by crowds of awestruck and terrified civilians. As Stone stepped out onto Earth's soil for the first time since their incredible journey began, he was met by a haggard-looking President Okafor. "General Stone," she said, her voice hoarse, "on behalf of what's left of Earth's governments, thank you. You and your crew have saved us all." Stone nodded solemnly. "We did what had to be done, Madam President, but our work is far from over." Okafor's eyes hardened with determination. "Indeed, we have a world to rebuild, and more than that, we have a galaxy to prepare for. The Aethery may be gone for now, but they'll be back. And there may be other threats out there we haven't even imagined yet." As if on cue, Dr. Chen approached, her tablet clutched tightly in her hands. "General, Madam President, I've been analyzing the data we collected during our encounter with the Aethery. There's something you need to see." She held out the tablet, displaying a complex star chart. Dozens of points were highlighted, spreading out in a web from Earth's location. "What am I looking at, Doctor?" Stone asked, a sense of foreboding settling in his gut. Chen took a deep breath. "These are potential Aethery outposts and harvesting stations. Based on the information we gathered, there could be hundreds, maybe thousands of inhabited worlds out there facing the same threat we did, and some of them might not have the means to defend themselves." A heavy silence fell over the group as the implications sank in. They had won a great victory, yes, but it was only the beginning. Earth now stood at a crossroads. They could turn inward, focus on rebuilding and strengthening their defenses against future attacks, or they could look to the stars, using their hard-won knowledge and technology to help other worlds that might be suffering under the Aethery's predations. President Okafor straightened, a fire kindling in her eyes. "General Stone, how soon can we have more dreadnoughts ready for launch?" Stone couldn't help the grim smile that spread across his face. "Give us a few months to repair and refit, Madam President. We'll be ready to take the fight to them." As the sun began to set on a battered but unbroken Earth, Stone gazed up at the darkening sky. The stars were coming out, no longer distant and unreachable, but full of both promise and peril. Humanity had been tested, had stared extinction in the face, and emerged victorious. Now, they would take their place among the stars, not as conquerors or victims, but as protectors. The Aethery had sought to drain Earth's life away. Instead, they had awakened a sleeping giant, and the galaxy would never be the same again. Humanity's stand. 5 years had passed since the Aethery invasion, and Earth was a changed world. The scars of the battle were still visible. Vast swaths of dead forest were only now beginning to show signs of new growth, and the skylines of major cities were dotted with the gleaming forms of atmospheric regenerators. But there was an energy in the air, a sense of purpose and unity that had been forged in the crucible of near extinction. General Marcus Stone stood on the observation deck of Unity Station, Earth's first true deep space facility. Below him, the blue marble of humanity's homeworld slowly rotated, while above, the stars beckoned. He allowed himself a moment of pride as he watched a fleet of next-generation dreadnoughts performing maneuvers in high orbit. They were faster, more powerful, and more numerous than the original 5 that had saved Earth half a decade ago. "Quite a sight, isn't it?" The voice of President Adama Okafor broke through his reverie. The leader of the newly formed Earth Alliance had aged visibly in the past 5 years, but her eyes still burned with the same determination that had guided humanity through its darkest hours. Stone nodded in agreement. "Sometimes I still can't believe how far we've come in such a short time." "Necessity is the mother of invention," Okafor replied with a wry smile. and we've had necessity in spades." Their conversation was interrupted by the arrival of Dr. Samantha Chen, now the head of Earth's Xenoscience Division. "Madam President, General," she greeted them, her tablet clutched tightly in her hands. "We've just received a transmission from the Argus mission. You're going to want to see this." The Argus mission had been humanity's first attempt to make contact with other species that might have fallen victim to the Aethery. A fleet of diplomatic and scientific vessels, escorted by dreadnoughts, had set out 6 months ago to investigate the potential Aethery outposts Dr. Chen had identified years earlier. Chen activated a holographic display, showing a star system none of them recognized. "This is Kepler 186f, she explained. "The Argos fleet arrived there 3 days ago. What they found." She trailed off, tapping a command to zoom in on one of the planets. Stone's breath caught in his throat. The planet was surrounded by massive structures, far more advanced than anything humanity had created, and swarming around those structures were ships, hundreds of them, of designs they'd never seen before. "Are those?" Okafor began, her voice hushed. Chen nodded. "Aliens, but not Aethery. This is an entirely new species, and they're not alone." The hologram shifted, showing recordings from the Argos fleet. Stone and Okafor watched in awe as they saw glimpses of not one, but 3 distinct alien species. One was vaguely insectoid, with sleek, chitinous ships that moved with incredible coordination. Another seemed to be composed of pure energy, their vessels glowing with an inner light. The third was more recognizably humanoid, though their technology was clearly far in advance of Earth's. "They call themselves the Galactic Concordat," Chen explained. "A coalition of species that have banded together to resist the Aethery. When our fleet arrived, they were initially wary. But when we explained our own history with the Aethery, the hologram changed again, showing the commander of the Argos mission shaking hands, or appendages, with representatives of the alien species. They've invited us to join them." Chen finished, her voice filled with excitement. "To add our strength to theirs in the fight against the Aethery." A heavy silence fell over the room as the implications sank in. Humanity was being offered a place on the galactic stage, a chance to stand alongside other sentient species in defense of life itself. President Okafor was the first to speak. "The potential benefits of this alliance are immense," she mused. "Access to their technology, their knowledge. It could advance our civilization by centuries. But so could the risks," Stone countered, ever the pragmatist. "We'd be painting an even bigger target on our backs. The Aethery already see us as a threat. Joining this Concordat would make us a priority target." Chen interjected, her eyes shining with the thrill of scientific discovery. "But think of what we could learn. The biological diversity, the different approaches to technology and social organization. It's a xenobiologist's dream." As the debate continued, a new alert flashed on Chen's tablet. Her eyes widened as she read the incoming transmission. "General, Madam President, we're picking up massive energy signatures at the edge of our solar system. It's them. The Aethery. They're back." The mood in the room shifted instantly from excitement to grim determination. Stone straightened, years of military training kicking in. "How many?" "At least 50 ships," Chen reported, her voice tight. "Far more than we faced last time." Okafor's jaw set in a hard line. "They're here to finish what they started." Stone nodded grimly. "Looks like our decision's been made for us. We need allies, and we need them now." He turned to Chen. "Contact the Argus mission. Tell them we accept the Concordat's offer, and we need immediate assistance." As Chen rushed to relay the message, Stone and Okafor made their way to the station's command center. Alerts were already blaring, and the observation screen showed Earth's defensive fleet moving into position. "All ships, battle stations," Stone ordered, his voice carrying across the entire Earth Alliance communication network. "This is not a drill. I repeat, this is not a drill. As the massive Aetheri fleet drew closer, a tense silence fell over Unity Station. Humanity stood on the brink of either annihilation or a new era of galactic cooperation. Everything hinged on whether the Concordat would answer their call for aid in time. Minutes stretched into hours as the Earth Alliance fleet engaged the Aetheri invaders. The new dreadnoughts proved their worth, their advanced weapons tearing through the alien ships with far greater effectiveness than before. But the sheer numbers of the Aetheri force were overwhelming. One by one, Earth's defenders began to fall. Just as it seemed all hope was lost, new contacts appeared on the long-range sensors. Chen's voice, filled with a mixture of relief and awe, rang out across the command center. Multiple hyperspace windows opening. It's the Concordat. A cheer went up as the screens filled with the image of hundreds of alien ships dropping out of faster-than-light travel. The insectoid vessels moved with lightning speed, their weapons lashing out at the Aetheri with pinpoint precision. The energy beings unleashed weapons that seemed to bend the very fabric of space-time, and the humanoid ships deployed swarms of fighters that danced between the massive Aetheri vessels, striking at vulnerable points with unerring accuracy. Caught between the hammer of the Concordat and the anvil of Earth's determined defenders, the Aetheri fleet began to crumble. Ship after ship fell, either destroyed outright or forced to retreat. As the last Aetheri vessel vanished into hyperspace, a new transmission came through. The holographic display showed a being of swirling energy, not unlike the massive Aetheri entity they had encountered years ago. But this one's voice, when it spoke, was warm, almost melodious. "People of Earth," it said, its words somehow conveying a sense of respect and camaraderie. "We are the elders of the Galactic Concordat. Your bravery in the face of the Aetheri threat has not gone unnoticed. Today, you have proven yourselves worthy allies in the defense of all life. We welcome you to the galactic community." President Okafor stepped forward, her voice steady despite the emotion evident in her eyes. "On behalf of humanity, we thank you for your aid. We are honored to stand alongside you in the fight against those who would threaten the freedom of all sentient beings." As the transmission ended, a sense of profound change settled over the command center. They had done it. Humanity had not only survived, but had taken its place among the stars. The road ahead would be challenging. The Aetheri threat was far from over, and there would be much to learn about their new allies and the wider galaxy. But they would face it together, as part of something greater than themselves. General Stone gazed out at the starfield, now filled with the ships of a dozen different species. He thought back to that fateful day when the Aetheri first appeared in Earth's skies, intent on draining away their world's lifeblood. They had meant to destroy humanity. Instead, they had catapulted them into a new age of exploration, discovery, and unity. As the combined fleet of Earth and the Concordat began to disperse, Stone allowed himself a small smile. The Aetheri had tried to steal Earth's oxygen, but in doing so, they had given humanity something far more valuable: a future among the stars and a chance to make a difference on a truly cosmic scale. The battle was over, but the adventure was just beginning, and humanity, tested by fire and forged in the crucible of near extinction, was ready to face whatever challenges the universe might throw at them next. As Unity Station hummed with activity, plans already being made for Earth's integration into the Galactic Concordat, Stone couldn't help but feel a sense of profound optimism. They had faced the darkness and emerged stronger. Whatever the future held, humanity would meet it head-on, with courage, determination, and an unquenchable spirit of exploration. The stars, once distant and unreachable, now beckoned with infinite possibilities, and humanity, at last, was ready to answer their call.